It's just made me a lot more optimistic for what's to come.
Hi there, my name's Matt. I'm one of the enrolment managers here at Learning People. Every day, my team and I help people decide which pathway is right to further their career. Today, I'm joined by Louise, someone who's recently completed a pathway with us that included the Agile PM Foundation and the APM PFQ. She's recently been successful in applying for a new job at Society General, and today I'm thrilled to be asking her some questions to find out how it's all gone.
Thank you, Matt. Thanks for having me today.
No worries. First up for me, the thing that I get our team to always ask their students on the first call, and nothing's changed from now really, is what motivated you to get in touch with us?
It's a great question, because what pushed me to project management in the first place was that I was finding that while the environment I was in, the working environment, was pushing me forward and like teaching me a lot of new things in quite of a competitive place, it wasn't the skill set that I wanted to continue or develop with. So I was in sales previously, and as you can imagine, sales kind of environment can be quite tough. But I just found that while I was doing well in it, it wasn't where I wanted to continue excelling, probably because my interest didn't lie there too long. Project management felt more natural to what I'd already been doing in my volunteering and sort of my personal interests outside of work.
Did you have any concerns yourself before you made that step? Because if you were doing well in your existing job, like you said, in sales, but realised it wasn't for you long term, was there anything that stopped you from doing it earlier?
I mean, definitely. I first got in contact with the Learning People in around Christmas time, so the end of the year in 2022. But then I didn't actually make that leap for another 6 months. So it was only when I decided to leave my last role, I'm like, okay, I now need to, commit to this decision, and decided that was a good point to now start giving more time to studying as well. But ended up, working again, finding another role, something to kind of support the studies, but also something that wasn't going to take so much of my brain power, and would leave me space to actually fully engross myself into project management.
So you're alluding there, I think, to that balance of knowing that you still got to carry on working, but also then do study, which helps you work towards a new career.
Exactly.
How hard was that?
Oh, the transition period was quite tricky, and I'm not going to lie, the first few months after registering for the course, my study pattern and kind of schedule was all over the place a bit. Few weeks where I would study back to back, and then following weeks I wouldn't log in for a good 4-5 days, like a whole work week would pass. But eventually, I think getting in touch with the student care team and them checking up on my progress and just giving me the right motivation and resources helped with getting the motivation back up again.
Yeah, support is something that people don't realise how influential it is, on their study journey until they perhaps get going. So how influential would you say that's been since you've enrolled?
If not half of the, motivating force, like probably just over it, because it was a huge part in knowing, especially, being quite self-reflective and knowing what kind of learner you are is important, because I'm not gonna lie, it is self-study, so you also need to be diligent and keep to somewhat of a plan, or even if you stray from it, know that there is a plan A and a plan B to fall back on. But having people help with that organization and get you in that right mindset and place is invaluable.
What have you learned in terms of skills and knowledge from studying with Learning People?
Well, some of the skills are hard skills, and right now I'm trying to kind of power through with the Agile courses, especially because after I left that sales position, I moved into somewhat a project management adjacent role, but not quite. I was in a very different sector too. Applying some of the knowledge there into, practical, operations sort of procedures, and using my, leadership skills in some part as well from the technical sort of theories I've learned from the course allowed me to kind of come into more of my own person in that role and like really, take on more of a, I guess, managerial and be a more better decision maker too.
Because you mentioned a couple of times about you feel like you're personally suited to project management, like you had a lot of transferable skills. Yeah, and you mentioned about volunteering earlier. I'm wondering, what was the light bulb moment where you thought project management? Was it the fact that somebody had recommended project management as a sector to you or as a profession, or was it just something you stumbled across yourself?
Honestly, I found the term project management as like a career path just by happenstance. And then some of the skills that comes up in that kind of role and the position it has within an organization seem to have like, I guess, crossover quite well into some of the other interests and skills I had from my volunteering experience. So one particular experience was with a charity that I did 2 different projects with. There was one that was like a photo shoot for like Women's Day, and I was sort of the director slash organizer and like the co-chair for that particular project. We did the opening speech. We ran the whole kind of event at the Waterstones venue. It was quite fun. It was on a university campus, but that was pretty quick. It was within like 10 days that we strapped everything together and put it on. So it wouldn't have been possible without the team I was working with, but I felt like I was given a lot of responsibility that I really enjoyed. And then with the same charity I did, this was away in Greece. So we were working at a refugee camp, the biggest one in Europe, in Greece. And there was fundraising involved. And then while we were actually there, working with the student team and then with the partnering NGO, there was a lot of, from what I experienced and was also exposed to, project management skills that was sort of at the very base and foundation of how that project ran smoothly. So while I wasn't leading so much on that second project, being part of such a team, like smooth operations of it all, really inspired me to, once I discovered what project management was, to put 2 and 2 together.
Amazing. Over half the students we speak to don't know what sector or industry they want to go into. And they love the fact that project management is exactly that, non-sector, non-industry specific. You've picked 2 varied projects there that you've done in terms of volunteering. And I suppose, did you know what sector or industry you wanted to go into when you started studying with us?
So at that point I did, because I'd already had some kind of office kind of professional work experience. But definitely when I did those volunteering experience, which was in my final year of uni, I was still just as clueless about what sector I wanted to go into. Hence why I think, compared to some of my peers from my course, from my university degree, they were quite assured, and I felt lost for a few years. And of course, COVID happened too, so it's a good time to sort of explore that. But up until I left that sales position, my interests and career interests were quite varied, and my experience was, in a lot of different roles. Every new post I went into was new sector, new position. I felt I was starting to become a jack of all trades, but I wanted to start specializing in, just being taken seriously about one goal. And project management, like you put it, is great because it's a bit of a blank screen, but it's also a very necessary role in any organization. So whether it was in the kind of events, art position that I'm currently in and I'm kind of transitioning out of, or the other kind of positions I was in sales, it's really helped me, come into my person.
How excited are you about your future?
Oh, very much so, because I feel like, yes, it's still quite a new sector to me. I was working previously in the financial sector too, but again, in a very different role in sales. So the fact that in the interview, the project management course, and my decision to pursue that, it came up as it did in many other interviews before it, as well as the fact that my values and sort of was quite well reflected in the organization that I ended up kind of accepting a job offer from now, really is the best of both worlds, because I'm in the position I want to be in the sector I want to be in, and also there's a great cultural fit.
What did you enjoy most about studying with learning people?
I'd say the webinars were really helpful. I think finding a community of other learners who are also in the same boat as I am really helped. And yeah, there's regular revision sessions every other week, different across different time zones as well, to fit all the learners that learning people sort of provide for. So for me, yeah, finding that sort of like, we made a little WhatsApp group and was able to kind of share resources and knowledge as well, kind of what we were doing wrong, and how best to utilize the platform, the ILX learning platform. That was really great. Yeah.
Did that really help then, having that community, that WhatsApp group of other learners? Yeah. Could you give some examples of where you supported each other?
So life kind of gets in the way. I quite often am not great at checking my messages, but I'd come back to dozens of messages, and I'd scroll through them, and definitely in terms of like finding exam papers, sort of past papers to look through, and sort of people sharing their notes, their study notes, and what kind of revision videos, or which would you say tutor, I guess, who run the revision sessions, which one they preferred in terms of like explaining the concept the most fluidly and like easily. That was really helpful, because I found that people had different learning styles, but also the way they made use of their time gave me insight into how I could better utilize my time too. So on a practical level, but also on a more motivational, like emotional level, it felt quite cozy being in that little community of other PM students.
What advice do you have for anybody that was once sat in your shoes considering joining learning people?
On a practical side, I would first consider, where you're going to carve this time from your schedule. And really, if this is a priority for you, you will find the time. That's not really the issue here. That's just like an initial kind of preliminary question. Kind of really analyze what kind of learner you are and what kind of support you need. The more questions and the curious you are, the better student care and like the careers team will be able to help you, because there's a lot of material that you'll also have to go through. Where you are in your career also matters. Like, are you coming completely fresh into project management like I was? If that's the case, then that support is going to be the biggest part in sort of getting you across the finishing line. If you're a bit more experienced and you have, the transferable career sort of skill set and experience, then I think how efficiently and effectively will taking this qualification help you with your career goals, whether that's a promotion or kind of switching sectors. I think that's what I would probably ask. Those are the questions you'd need to ask yourself first.
Already thinking about promotions. That's a good sign.
Thinking forward, yeah, that's always what I hope to be doing. So
everyone has different motivations. What would you say your long-term motivation in project management is?
To put it very crudely, to get to the top. I see myself as, enjoying the decision-making process and making an impact. And whether that's in the sector that I'm in now, or, something more aligned later down the line with my own kind of business aspirations, or kind of the volunteering sort of social issues that I align myself with. I think I just want to be able to have a foot in the door and make projects sort of come together.
Amazing. You've studied the PFQ.
Yes.
Could you share how much that course influenced you or gave you the confidence?
I'd say some of the techniques and approaches, the analyses you would implement in an operations team, even in the current role now, when I was learning the course, and implementing that really helped with just building like team morale too, because I wouldn't say on first impression when people meet me that I'm come off as very much like a bold or leader type, but naturally just from being the personality I am and letting my character kind of shine, yeah, I think I've built like a good rapport with leadership and equally with team members and kind of new members to the team as well. So PFQ and the techniques there helped with improving my working style.
What would you say your leadership style is?
I don't know if there's like clear sort of leadership types. I guess I'd say like to think I'm the empathetic listening type, because first off, when you enter a room for the first time and you're not really familiar with anyone just yet, just getting a taste for the atmosphere there and being able to adjust to that and take into mind how everyone else operates and how to best utilize their kind of positives into achieving the shared goal is so important. So I think communication first and foremost, and just being empathetic and considering all of that while also still pushing forward, always thinking forward.
Positivity means so much. My final question I have for you is, how has your life changed since passing your exams and learning people?
Well, I've been smiling a lot more. So I think, it's just made me a lot more optimistic for what's to come. And I keep going back to it, but I dwelled a lot in the past before about what decisions I had made and like maybe I should have studied this at uni instead of what I did. And I think this decision is one that's definitely opened up more doors for me and has given me a lot more motivation to continue with the path I've chosen.
Fantastic. Thanks for answering all those questions. Do you have any questions that you have for me now?
Yes, actually. So I was wondering, because the content of the course is quite important for, getting in the learning, how do you ensure that, it stays relevant, the course content stays relevant to different industry trends within project management?
That's a great question. Our portfolio of courses is always changing. Not only just in terms of the courses that we actually bring on, in terms of the exam vendors that we use, the awarding bodies, but even those courses themselves go through various different cycles. So people that studied project management with us, say 5 years ago, would probably do the same qualification as somebody like yourself, but the syllabus itself has changed all the time. And even when there's examples of when a syllabus changes midway through somebody's certification training with us, we always try and provide bridging courses as well. We work in conjunction with the course providers themselves to make sure that whenever there's any relevant changes, our students remain informed of them. There's a clear timescale to work towards them, and then it's provided to them themselves.
How would a student ensure that they're prepared and going to be the most successful in taking a course with learning people?
That varies. What works for one student won't work for another and vice versa. We have some students that come to us that have been putting it off for a long period of time, that then have a window of opportunity where they will go, right, over the next 6 weeks, I'm going to complete the whole career pathway. For some people that isn't realistic, like yourself, they have to plan it and work it in and around their families, their work schedule, whatever it is they've got going on in their life. So my advice to anybody in that situation is actually talk to your consultant. You spoke earlier about how influential Sam was on your own career journey. That's something that's massive for everybody. Your careers consultant has worked with every different type of person from different walks of life with different schedules, different nationalities, different regions. Have the conversation and try and put together something that works specifically for you. When you're ready, get started on the courses and then turn that into a relationship with student care with career services, because there is a way for anybody to make this work. As you said, if the motivation is there, the journey can be completed. Thank you. That's everything from us. Louise, a massive thank you. I've really enjoyed that conversation. I'm sure you'll be as inspired as I was talking to Louise, so thank you very much.
No, definitely. It's been a pleasure talking to you.